So, welcome to this meeting. It's a production meeting on Ecotales, an animated journey to a cleaner tomorrow. Today is Thursday, 25th July, and we're going to discuss the animation side of the job. So, welcome to the session, and thanks for coming, Purity. Now, were you able to go through the document? Were you able to go through the materials I sent?
Yes, I did.
Mhm. Okay. So what we're doing then is we'll go through them together, but the main thing we're doing is just agreeing on the work outline. There's a work outline there in relation now to your internship. At the same time, we're going to look at the approach, the production, so that you have clarity of the production. And then I'm going to discuss with you the schedule and also issues to do with payment so that you understand how you'll be paid for the job. Okay? So I'll start with a general overview so that you understand it from an overview perspective. Then I'm going to switch to the documents. We'll go through the work plan first, the course outline, the work outline. Then I'll come to the other part, which is the workbook, so that we go through that one. Nothing is new in terms of what we're doing. You've done this before, so it's similar. It's just now a different content, but it's a similar workflow. All right. So let me start by saying that what I want to mention is important, and I want to encourage you is that when you enter into now the step that you're entering into as we speak, you're getting into now your career. There's what you need to do in order for you to progress in this career. And I just want to mention that it's not like what, let's say, many people would tell you, and it's also not like what you might think it is in terms of progression. This is the best way I can say it. That what you read, what you're told, are not actually what it is. That's really what I'm saying. So I want to tell you what it is in terms of progression in a way that would be realistic for you to manage your expectations according to your reality. If you merge your expectation of your career progression with your reality, then you'll have a sense of comfort with what you're going to experience as you grow as an animator within the industry. Okay? So, this is what I want to discuss. Um, First of all, which is critical, that what I'm telling you is not written somewhere. What I want to tell you is how to be an animator in Kenya, how to be an animator in Africa, how to be an animator in Nairobi. That's not written anywhere. I also want to tell you how to approach your career in a way that is, let's not say stress free, but in a way that's deterministic, where you have some element of control of the path that you're walking. When you have some element of control, you don't get stressed actually, because you can anticipate what's coming. Your expectations are matching your reality. You can see how things are flowing, that kind of thing. So that's very helpful. Just like when you went through school, you kind of knew when you finish this stage one, like year one, you go to year two. You finish year two, you go to year three. It was quite clear, it's quite straightforward. You knew what you had to do in order to progress. It's the same thing with your career. There's what people tell you, but what people tell you is not correct. So I need to correct that so that you don't have this misconception of how things are. So I could start with that. What do people tell you that is a misconception and you're an intern and you're starting? Because that's a starting point in the work life. When you're an intern, what do people tell interns that is not the truth? The first thing they say is that if you work hard, get your certificate, and let's say you do well in school, so you get a first class honors, then you'll be guaranteed work. That's not true. You can get a first class honors, you can have your degree, and then you don't get work at all for the next 1 month, 1 year, even 10 years. You can go without work completely. It has no, getting work has nothing to do with your certificate, or it has little to do with your certificate. That's a reality, it's a truth. You may have heard it, but people will still tell you, you work hard, get your degree, and pass, do well, and then you'll get work. No, you won't get work. What will, and to make matters worse, is that even when you, like now you're in a job situation, even when you're in a job situation after you've graduated, there's no guarantee that you'll keep the job or continue to get work. So you can leave a job and take another one. There's no guarantee that you'll get one and keep one, and all these things are not guaranteed. So there's enough reason to be very stressed when you're starting about work. Okay, and Kenya is even worse. You see, Africa, not just Kenya, but Africa is worse when you come out and then you see the industry is suffering, the economies are down, all these negatives to confirm that actually work is not there. You see, so those are things. But that said, you'll always find some people who have too much work, and that work is always too much. It never stops being too much. It's overflowing for them. In fact, to the extent that they're either giving out work or they're engaging other people to help them with their work. So, on one end of the scale, you both have degrees, one person has zero work. On the other end of the scale, somebody has too much work. So, zero work and no work. So it just tells you work is there. Work is there. But what people don't tell you is that work is not for you. That's the reality. Whenever you graduate from school, just know work is there, but nobody wants you to do that work. That's for all students. If I told my client, for example, that we're going to do your work and I'm going to get students to work on it, like now I'll get an intern to work on it, they'll say no, they'll refuse. Because when they hear that, they start hearing that you want to give my work to be done by someone who is inferior. They don't want that. Even you, if you went to the hospital and you went to see a doctor and you say, this is the doctor's gift, the specialist, then the doctor immediately tells you, I'm busy, I'll give an intern you for them to treat. You might be hesitant and say, wait a minute, I came to see you. Now you're saying I'll be treated by an intern. And maybe it's a specialized issue. So you're thinking, this intern, will they kill me? You see, that's normal. In other words, clients are just normal human beings. So when they hear an intern is working on their job, or they hear that it's being done by an animator who is not, let's say, not experienced or anything like that, they'll just say no. You see. So the first thing which you need to know is that nobody wants you to do their work. So how do you start doing work if nobody wants you to do their work? And it's not like the clients don't want you to progress. They do. But they just don't want you to be the one that is going to be handling their work. It's a lot of money they're spending and they don't want to lose it. So that's why. So this is how it works. It works the other way around. That when you graduate, you need to work through a network. So a network is the most important thing. The touch point of your network when you graduate is your lecturers because they know you, like we know you very well. So we can vouch for you. We know how to work with you. We know what you do and what you don't do. We know all these things. So we're comfortable working with you. So they become the touch point to the industry. And that's a very important touch point because we can introduce you to the industry, not, you see, some people will introduce you to the industry in a very distant way. They'll say, jump in that water and swim. You see, they're not near the water. They're just saying jump in it and swim. That's not an introduction to the industry. An introduction in the industry into the industry is to introduce you to the network so that you're now in the jobs in a way where people can know, so who are you? Someone can say, this is Purity, the animator who has these skills, has this kind of portfolio, she's capable of this and that. Oh, then people get a sense of, oh, I see. So that's who you are professionally. You see, that's what I mean by getting in the water, because those are the people who now will invite you to another project and say, we have this work, and since we know that you can do it, we'll pay you X amount. And that's how you progress. So getting into the industry is getting into a pool of professionals who are networked so that they are the ones now who can um, mentor you, but critically give you employment on different jobs. And that's how the industry is driven. And it's not just in interactive media design or animation, it's also in the creative economy. The entire creative economy is network driven. Okay, so that they don't tell you in school. They don't tell you. Another one is that, and they won't tell you this. They'll tell you something like in school that you need to have a CV, you need to have a portfolio. That's what the school will tell you when you're learning. All right. They'll even tell you you need to have skills. Yeah, but that's not true. None of that is true, actually. Um, Let me not say it's completely not true. There is truth in it, but it's not the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is different. In order for you to get a job, you know, the first thing that everybody wants to know is, you know, whether you can do the work. That's what they want to know. They don't want to know that you have a degree. They don't want to know that you have knowledge or skills. You know, it's a presupposition. People assume you have skills. Even you, if you took your, um, it's like when you went to school. If a mwalimu comes into class, you don't start asking the mwalimu, but do you have skills? Do you have knowledge? Can we find out? You don't ask those questions. Clients don't ask those questions. They don't want to ask you the question of do you have skills? It's that one. They never enters their head. What they want to know is can you do the work? That's the question. Now, they would not want to ask you that. They won't. Because if you ask someone who has no work, can you do the work? They'll say yes. And every client knows that. Even a 60-year-old boy knows that, or girls, I just know. If you don't have work and someone's asking you, can you do this work? Of course you'll say yes. So they won't ask you that. They need someone else to say that, yeah, you can do the work. Someone who's a trusted source. And if they say you can do the work, it's enough. They won't even interrogate you. They won't interview you. That person has said they know you and they have given you and they trust it. They'll give you the work. That's how this thing works. So that's why I say network is central to this whole thing. That you need to be networked, and then when you're in the network, you need to have people who can vouch for you professionally. No one wants to spoil their name. So it's very important that you build your name amongst the network so that they can vouch for you, and that's how you get the next job. So that's number one. Your portfolio, your CV, and the fact that you have skills like your degree. No one really wants to look at those things. They don't. They just want to know whether you can do the work, and they'll ask someone who knows you, who is trusted. And when they say yes, then you get the job. That's how it works. What is a job? A job is when you do the work and you get paid. If you're not getting paid, you're not in the industry. This is not an industry of people who work for free. It's an industry of people who work for pay. Why does it make a difference and why am I pre-qualifying? Because there are very many animators. In fact, there might be even more animators who work but they don't get paid than the ones who work and get paid. You see? But what we're saying is in a career that you want to be amongst the animators who work and get paid. That's what we're saying. Okay? That's the industry. The industry is about moving money. So in order for you to get paid, what you have to build value. So the ones who get paid build value and they know they're building value. You also have to know. So they know their value, and then when they ask for money, they get money because you've built value and you know you've built value. The ones who work but they don't get paid, they either cannot build value or don't know that they're building value. Sometimes you don't know how to build value. See all those things. But whatever it is, if you're not building value and you're animating, you're not in the industry. You're like a hobbyist. And there are many who are like that. The ones who build value, they get paid. Now you might say, oh, but the hobbyists look better than the ones who get paid. They can do their work looks more artistic, looks much better. Yeah, but you see, the industry is not about looking good. It's not about that. It's about building value. You might find someone's work is not as artistic as someone else's work, but the amount of value they're building with their work is great. So they get paid a lot of money. And the one who is doing this artistic work, which looks very interesting, is it looks extremely nice, but it has no value. So no, they don't get paid. You see, that's the industry. Again, it's not written somewhere. No one will tell you that. I'm telling you now. You have to focus if you want to have a career as an animator, you have to focus your path around building value. You have to learn how to build value with animation. That's what it is. So even when I talk to you, even now, when we're getting into the work, you'll see I will not concentrate too much on skills. I won't concentrate too much on basics. Of course, I'm assuming your basics are there, and I'm assuming you have certain levels of skills. So you'll work on those, and that's fine. But you'll see me concentrating very much on the building of the value because that's where the game is played, that's where the game is won, and that's also where the game is lost. If you don't build value, you've lost. If you build value, you've won. But the play is about building value. And you have to understand it. If you understand it, you're safe because you can get into the industry. Industry is about making money from doing this. Then you can make money from doing this. Okay? You will not be told that in class. Okay. What else can I think of? Yeah. Um, so let me move then on to a slightly different subject in the same area. That the job you're doing here, it's a transmedia production. So what we mean by transmedia, let's say production, is a production that cuts across different media. So one of the media is animation, but the other is comics, and the other is memes. This social media content. Social media content is similar, you can say, to production, but its use is different. So even the way it's produced is different. Okay. What you're focused on is more of the, you can say, animation production. Animation production is produced in a pipeline. So you're part of a pipeline. The other animators I'm going to bring in, and you'll work with them as well. But we also have what we call the memes. The memes are not usually pipelined. The memes are produced by individuals. One person can produce a meme. It's like 30 seconds. Um, there's a whole story around that. But your internship is based on the animation production pipeline. All right. You'll be given characters to animate in production, and you'll need to develop them, um, draw them, and lip sync them, color them, and then build scenes for them so that you complete your production. And in pre production, it's more general. Pre production, now you're working as an assistant to the director of animation. So I'm the director of animation, and you're assisting me to produce the pre production materials. And that's what we're going to go through now. All right. So um, normally, normally an animator comes in, especially an intern or associate animator, you come in the production normally. But if you come in to assist the director of animation, then you'll be involved in storytelling, that's story writing, scripting, you're involved in storyboarding, character design. These are all things that are done by the director of animation, pre visualization. So I'll take you through them step by step so that you can assist as we do it together. If you have questions, feel free. I'll share my screen, but you can still ask me anything. Do you have any question, Purity?
No.
No? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now. Now I want to focus on the job specifically. Um, let me see if I am. I think I'll start with this outline. I don't know if you're seeing my screen. I'm going to open up the work outline. It's something I sent you. Brief outline. Maybe it's this. No, it's not this. Let me open it again. Okay, so I'm just opening the work outline so that you get a sense of it. You've probably gone through this already. It has its objectives and the outcomes. The reason I want to open this is to show you that there are two stages here that we're going through. In fact, there's a stage even before this pre-production. That's the ideation stage. In ideation, we write the story. We write the synopsis, we write the story, and then we move on to the um, scripting. But that is not on your pipeline. I'm doing the story with someone else. So we're coming up with the story, and then we'll come to pre-production where you now come in. So I need you to, once you get the story, I'll send you the story, the beginning at least, this evening or tomorrow morning. Um, week one here is what you've done. You've gone through the material I sent to understand the brief and also to understand the raw material, the stuff that we have to go through. What do we mean by transmedia production? So all that. Week two is this one. We're saying an adaptation. So we have to write the story. So this is all the ideation stuff. Um, so I'm writing this with different teams. We also have to write for comics. We also have to write for memes. So that you don't have to worry about. For the animation, which is your line, you just pick the integrated storytelling. But that I'll give you. That's week two. Week three, we now come to um, the visual narrative. So character design. Okay, that's you now. You need to do the character design. And then week four, you need to work on this one, which is storyboarding. We'll discuss.
Um, Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if it's my side, but I'm only seeing the. I think it's the script.
Oh, I see.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me share again. Okay. Okay, can you see now? You can see now.
Yes, I can now.
Okay. So I'll just go quickly back to where we were. Your work, once you've read through everything and you've done it, your work starts here with character design. So you'll read through the story. I'll give you a hit list of the characters so you'll know them, and you need to design them. We'll discuss. Then you need to do the storyboard for them. We'll discuss. Then you need to do this is pre-visualization. It's about animation timing. Yeah, so you need to do an animatic for them. Animatic first. So this is the animatic. I should have written here animatic. And then once you're done with that, then you move on to the pre-visualization here. Now, to do an animatic, you need sound. So there'll be a requirement. I'll show you. I'll give you sound actually. I'll give you sound. That is the voiceover, and also the sound effects, and also the um, you'll be given also the soundtrack. So you'll be given all that. Okay. Then you come now to the pre-visualization. So pre-visualization is where you see animatic is still frames, but it helps you with timing, so you can kind of pace your work. Then comes pre-visualization, which is the same as animatic, but this time you have movement. So it's a step up really. So so that's where stage one or phase one ends. After 8 weeks, after 8 weeks in your internship, you're going to go through an assessment. And if you count 8 weeks from 11th of, let's say, July, then you're talking of 11th of September. But if you don't catch up, because it requires some catch up here, you see, in the last 2 weeks, you should have, yeah, week one, you went through the stuff. But week two, I didn't give you anything because week two is all this writing stuff. You're not doing the writing. Week three is your week two now. This is your week two. So you need to try to have done the character design by the end of, let's say, this week. and also the storyboarding by the end of this week. If you finish those two, well, let's say at least the character design, because you have to fill things into your book. Your book has 2 weeks already in it. And those 2 weeks would be the reading and this character design. And then the third week would now be this storyboarding. And then the fourth week would now be your pre-visualization. Roughly, I'm trying to give you a map on so you can map your activities to your book. This one is 1 week behind, or 1 week ahead, maybe, of your thing. So when you see here week 4, that is your week 3. When you see here week 5, this should be 5. Counting is wrong. I'll give you a new book. Yeah, so week 5, that is your week 4, like that. This is week 6, like that. All right, so yeah, you need to do your animatic, you need to do the pre-visualization, and then that ends phase 1, because that ends your pre-production. It's going to end with your pre-visualization. Then we move into something else. We move into production. We do these animation layouts. I'll show you how to do animation layouts. So you do that, and they're done from the pre-visualization. You do backgrounds, okay? Then you do rotoscoping, then you do lip syncing, and then you do cleanups, and then you do color drawings, and then you do scene building, and then you do computer graphics imagery, CGI, this one. All right, so the production has more work. I'd like us to finish this within 2 weeks, actually, going forward, but it depends. You just see how fast you can go. And then we come now to this one. When it comes to this one, you'll expand, you're going to be in a team of about, this one might have a team of about 7 people or something. So you'll be one of the 7. So when we meet, we'll be meeting 7 of us for this. But it represents, you see, if you finished, yeah, I think because week 6 is your week 5, this is your week 6, 7, 8. Yeah, by week 15, you're in September. By week 15 here is when you're being assessed. And you're doing rotoscoping by then. All right? That's when the assessment's happening. That gives you a sense of the map. Once you're assessed, you can graduate. So that meets your fulfillment for your degree. The rest of the way is now work, because you're working as an intern, and it goes on until you finish week 20. Week 20 is the end. Once you've reached that, everyone has reached that, the work is compiled, it's edited by an editor, it goes to the client will make changes. It comes back maybe to your workbench. You might have corrections. If you have corrections, you do them, and then it ends. So that gives you a sense of the work path, the workflow. You'll be paid for this job. You know, I'll inform you about the payment, but not today because the client has yet to approve everything. But once we get approval from the client, I'll tell you what your pay looks like. I'll give you a contract even. So it's a paid internship. It's like you're working already. Once you finish your internship after 12 weeks, then your working terms change so that if you still want to carry on with the job, we still have work. We'll give you the work, but we'll engage you as an associate animator, not an intern. So the pay improves actually with that. And normally you stay as an associate for a year. You do 6 months, you do 3 months probation. If you pass the probation and you are successful, then we give you a 1 year associate animation contract where you work for 1 year as at that level for on a renewable contract. If you're successful, if let's say your associate status is successful, then you can move to the professional level. Usually, students take 2 years to achieve that, but if you achieve it sooner, you'll get that sooner. We just give you a contract that's at a higher level. You get more money because of it, but more responsibility, of course. And then once you're a professional, you work like that. Generally, people work like that for 3 years. And then after that, if you are showing yourself to have been successful with being a professional for 3 years, you now get to be a lead animator. A lead animator is simply an animator who is responsible for a team. So you'll have like, you're the lead, you'll be working with 3 or 4 other animators and you'll be managing them. That's a lead animator. Then you work like that for, let's say, 3 years again. And if you're successful with that, then is when you become a director of animation. That means you can direct a whole animation by yourself. And you're responsible for these different teams, all of them. And that you usually stay like that for 5 years to 10 years, 5 to 10 years. And if you are successful, like 5 years after that, you can become an animation producer at the same time. And then, of course, you become a guru in animation. Yeah. When you're a guru in animation, you are someone who is influencing the industry from your knowledge, from your involvement, and things like those. But that's the career path. That gives you the career path because by the time you become a guru, you've probably been animating for something like 16 years, 15 years. You see, that now means you have some level of expertise, which people value, and you understand the industry very well. Um, yeah, so you have a sense of that kind of progression. You can see how it happens, right? Okay, so if it's clear, then this is the outline I was talking about. Do you have any questions on this? Anything you'd like to ask, Purity?
For most of the questions I had, you've already answered.
Okay, so let me open the other one. I'll open the workbook. Now, this workbook which I'm opening is fairly straightforward. It's something that you're familiar with simply because we've worked together and I've given you workbooks before. So it won't be difficult for me to explain. I mean, much of this I don't have to introduce. But the theory, the stuff that is written here, is very important in the sense that it's exactly what the client is saying to us. This client's brief, for example, that's what the client is saying. And they're judging us or evaluating us on the extent to which we meet this brief. But that's the job of the director of animation. They have to make sure that the client's interests are met. So this overall aim, the objectives, and the expected outcomes, the goal of the animation director is to make sure everything is aligned to that. You see, ultimately, everyone, because there are many people working on this job. There are about, in total, there'll be about 25 people on this job. Some are actors or voiceover people, but there are many. But everybody has to be meeting these objectives and these outcomes. So this approach is just to give you a sense of what I've just said. I mean, of course, this is part of a series. It's also part of a transmedia production. So there's a comic version of this. There's also a TikTok version of this. Just to explain so you understand the difference based on the approach, is that the main story is introduced by the animation, the main story. And it's designed in a way that should be of interest to the target market. The target market for this one is Generation Z and Generation Alpha. You see, that's the main target. It's a Generation Z story. Those are the primary audience. Now, if they're interested by the animation, then the TikToks, the videos from TikTok, there'll be about 9 videos from TikTok for this animation, should enhance that interest. What the TikToks videos are doing are picking moments within the animation that are side stories, and then they become TikTok memes. All right, but they're all pointing in the same direction because the objective is the same. So those side stories are what TikTok will feed off. And TikTok videos are just designed to be interesting for those that half a minute or 1 minute, something like that. So that's the design of them. That's a different team that works on that. Then we have the comic. The comic is a website. It's going to be not a printed comic, but one that's available online. You can access and read it. It's interactive, so it has not just visuals, it has aesthetics. It also has audio. It also has touch. I mean, you can flip pages, you can enlarge with your fingers and all that. So it's interactive. The comic's interactive. So that's the difference. And for what it's worth, if people want this story and they feel they're connecting with the theme, then the comic helps to extend some of the knowledge. The comic and the memes and the animation have different messages that they carry. The main message of what we're doing is in the animation. If you don't watch the animation, you don't know the main message really. But if you see the TikTok themes, they're based on the main message. If you read the comic, you'll have an idea of the main idea, but not fully, because it's just a thread. The comic takes the main idea and goes with a thread of it and tries to add clarity to stuff that is not being said on the animation, because the animation doesn't say everything. The comic will now expand on what might not be said on the animation. So the animation is important to watch if you want to understand everything. But either way, each one of them stands on their own. Okay, so coming to the method of testing. So testing is important to the client, largely because the client has a goal of trying to influence as many Generation Z viewers as possible. So it's going to be tested, and they want to see that the method we're using, the ideas we're suggesting, are actually reaching the Generation Z. Technically, if it's not meeting them, the client will abort the project. But if we're meeting them but not sufficiently, they'll want us to brainstorm to see how in episode 2 we can now meet the target better. So the idea is with time we become better at it, and we now meet the audience sufficiently for the client to keep on investing. So that's the whole thing. And then you come now to the key components, but these key components are just to do with positioning of the message. You can read them. I'll talk to you about the message, but not from here. And then, of course, resource allocation. So this is fairly straightforward stuff, but I'll give you the link you had asked for it, the one for the Google Drive, where you'll be putting up the information. I'll give you that one. I've not yet prepared it, but I'll prepare it now. And submission is really where that is. I've not yet put, but I'll do that. Okay, then comes, of course, the comic book, and then comes the memes. So we'll jump this. So when you come now to this one, this is understanding the scope of work. These tasks are very straightforward because you've gone through this before. Understanding the client's brief, understanding the story. Okay, so I haven't given you the story, but I'll give you the story tonight. So you'll see it tomorrow, let's say. You'll see it tomorrow. Then comes designing the characters. This is where you start tomorrow. When you see the story, I'll give you a character list, and then you can start building your characters. I want to discuss that now. And then you'll move on to the visual boards. So let's move back a bit. Let me switch. I just want to show you the story. The story is here, but this is a synopsis of the story. What I'll give you is not only the story, but the synopsis. I mean, not only the synopsis, but the story, Act 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll also give you the script so that you have all that for Act 1, 2, and 3. You have everything. But let me explain this story first. This story is like this. It starts with the objective. The client wants to influence Generation Z to stop littering. That's what they want. And they want it to be done generationally. So if Generation X stops littering, Generation Z stops littering, then Generation Alpha stop littering. That's what they want. How they want to achieve it, on one hand, is through education. Educate Generation X and also Generation Alpha that it's not a good idea to litter, and this is why it's bad. That's education. And then to show them how they should not do it. So they know the way that they should handle, let's say, garbage, so that they don't litter the environment. Okay, so the knowledge is important. Even the way in which the environment degrades because of garbage, it's part of the education. So that's one. The second objective, which is on this job, the only two objectives, is that they want the Generation Z and Generation Alpha to be activist. Activist in the sense that they also prevent other people from littering. They also educate other people so that they know why littering is terrible for the environment. All right? They want them to be like that. So those are the two objectives. So this story starts like that. It starts with there are three young Generation Z people, and they are living their lives, but they live in a garbage dump, or they live in a part of Nairobi where there is garbage. There's a big dump site there. That garbage dump is a problem simply because it's waste that is harmful to the environment. However, because of the nature of human beings, there are people who profit from that garbage dump. You find that there are these people who pick garbage and they have a living. They're just like chokora, but they pick the garbage and they sell. They make money from it. They're able to live their life through it. There are also economies like businesses that run on that garbage site. There are people who recycle the garbage, there are people who sell the garbage, there are people who even add it to the garbage. But everyone who does something there is gaining some money from it. There are also criminals there. You see, it's a garbage dump. So there are criminals and criminal activity that goes on there. The criminals are more involved in using the garbage site to hide drugs, to peddle drugs, to exchange drugs. It's like a point where nobody wants to go to a garbage site. So when the criminals go there, they are alone. They can do their business. So it becomes a haven for crime. So there's stuff going on there and then there are because there's a good crowd over there. There's also Mama Boga, Mama Pika, Mama. Um, there are people who are selling things there just because there are people there. So if there are people here, I'll sell you food, I'll cook food for you. You see, so that is an economy of its own, and the garbage, the fact that there's garbage there, which is harmful to the environment, means that there is some many people who are profiting from it. You see, and because of the nature and the situation in Kenya, um, these people feel it's a good thing that they can profit. They're making some money from this thing. So it's a good thing. It's helping them economically. There's also Kanjo. The authorities are there. So Kanjo, police, um, they're there. Even you can say politicians are there. Even the mayor is there. You know, the uh, the governor is there as well of the Nairobi. So it's a place of people. So all these people are there as well. You see. Now, all of them have an interest. Kanjo have an interest. Police have an interest. Why? Because they're making money from it. So when you look at the harmful nature of the dump, in spite of it being dangerous for the environment, you find people are still wanting it because they are profiting from it. But people live there. People live in that neighborhood. You have children, you have families, you have, of course, schools, you have churches, there are people who live in that area, and that dump is there. Why is it harmful? Well, first of all, disease. Second of all, is the um, it kills off. For example, when you have the dump site, it kills off the vegetation. And in order for vegetation to be healthy, you need diversity of plant life. But if you only have a certain breed of plants that can survive because of the garbage dump, you don't have the diversity you need in order to survive well. So the quality of, you can say, the environment, the quality of life is low. So the question becomes, how can that be improved? How can we stop littering to the extent that we have this kind of garbage dump? And it's a problem in many parts of Nairobi. That's what this is about. Now, any Generation Z growing up near a garbage dump might be convinced that it's a good thing because people are surviving because of it. Until you realize that people are also dying because of it. People are getting sick because of it. People are not able to progress in life because of it. I mean, the lifestyle around the garbage dump can only be supported by the garbage dump. Once you leave the garbage dump, you can't fit into the world. So it has many disadvantages, and the question is, um, how can you make the garbage dump something that's helpful? You know, so we're saying garbage may be not always bad. Garbage can also be good. So this story is a story of some heroes. There are three of them, and those are the main characters, the antagonist, the protagonist. There are three heroes who are young Generation Z people who want to change the attitude towards garbage so that people can see the dump as not a bad thing but a good thing, and then they make it good by, converting the bad garbage into good garbage. This is a simple way of looking at it. That's what their mission is. They're young people who don't even think that they're doing anything. They're just going through life, and then they discover at some point they become adults. And when they become young adults, they realize there are no jobs, there's no money, there's no opportunities. They realize things are not working for them. So how can we convert this situation we're finding into something that we expect? We expected jobs. We expected to make money. We expected to start our own families. We can't do any of these things. The garbage dump is contributing to all that. So now they realize that if we can change the garbage dump, we can make it what we want it to be. So that's what it is. And they discover in the first episode of this episode that we're doing, they discover how to change the garbage dump. In fact, they even discover that kumbe, this garbage is not a good thing. And then they discover how it can be a good thing. Now, with that knowledge, they want to change it. Now, when they go to their family and try to make the change in their family, they are surprised when their own family members are resisting. They say, "No, what are you talking about? This is nonsense." They refuse. Their own family members, the siblings, as well as the father. The mother has passed away, but the father is is saying, "No, don't. These are fantasies," and they can't believe it. They have the solution and he's rejecting, saying, "No, you go and do what I told you to do. You go pick garbage and then sell it and bring the money home. Then we have money we can eat. That's what you should do." They don't want to do that. So that's a Generation Z issue. They're trying to argue we're not our parents. We see things different. We need to sort out this kind of thing if we're going to have a future for ourselves and for our families. That's the argument. So now they want to send this argument to all Generation Z. How do we do it? And then the story unfolds and unfolds. At the end of the episode, they are able to convince their family that this is good. But not all members are convinced. They convince, for example, maybe their siblings, but the father is not convinced. That's episode 2, convincing the father. So in episode 2, after that, the father is convinced. But even when he's convinced, he's alone. All his friends, their families, they're not. They're saying, "What are you doing?" So episode 3 comes, convincing the neighbors. So that's the Nyumba Kumi environment where the neighbors are living in this kind of estate. So the father tries to convince his best friends and all that, and finally it ends with episode 3 where his best friends are convinced. Then they try to convince the other members of Nyumba Kumi. That's another episode. And that's the whole thing. So Generation Z are driving this persuasion and trying to convince Generation X that you need to think different so that we can have a future. And it's around garbage. That's the story. Okay? If you understand that story, then there are 3 characters. One is a woman. She's called, her name is here, Shiru. She's the main woman. She's the main hero. But she's the eldest, followed by Njoro and Kolo. Those are her younger siblings. Shiru might be, for example, let's say she's 24, she's Generation Z. Kolo might be 21, Njoro might be 18, something like that. Then you have Kanjo. Kanjo are the bad guys, the authorities. They're terrible guys because they don't want anything here to be changed. So when they see you trying to change things, they can arrest you, they can harass you, they can sabotage you. That's Kanjo are terrible people in the story. You have the father, he's called Kinywa. And then you have he's a supporting character. The 3 children are they're now adults even, but they are Generation Z, are the heroes. Kinywa is the father who is Generation X. There's the neighborhood. So there's supporting characters because you have families that neighbor them. They don't feature in episode 1, not really. They feature in episode 2. In episode 1, you will be introduced to the main antagonist, Kanjo authorities. Those are the main antagonists of episode 1. And they have their masters. They have like their bosses. You know, the police. They work with police. They also work with the officials of the county government. So Generation Z is trying to fight those people and trying to get to them to realize that we have to sort out this garbage dump. These people don't want to sort it out. So that it's a story that goes like that. In future episodes, they end up meeting with the economic landscape of the garbage dump. So they'll end up meeting with people who profit from it. They'll meet the other criminals. They'll meet the Mama Mboga, Mama Pika. They'll meet also with the Chokoras. Those are coming up in future episodes. Now, I need to tell you because of the clients. You see, so that's the drama, what I've explained. But I need to tell you the device that the drama is the device that we're using to carry the message. I need to tell you the message. The overarching message, is to influence Generation Z, not to um, litter the place. That's the main message. But the specific message is the how. They discovered something. What did they discover? That's now what I need to tell you because that's the specific message. All they discovered is the method by which you do not litter the place. Garbage need not be bad, it can be good. You just need to know how to manage it so that it works for you and doesn't work against you. That's what they discovered. All right. How did they discover it? In the story, they discover this thing from Mother Nature. Their mother had died, but now Mother Nature comes in. Mother Nature reveals to the young children, the Generation Z children, um, the means by which they can recover the wasteland or recover the dump site. And she does it using her means. In the first episode, she uses ants. So they're playing, the ball is kicked in the wrong direction, it goes into Matope. And in fact, it's not Matope, it's a sewer. So it's there and nobody wants to go and pick it up. So when they're trying to pick it up, they bump into the ants because the ants are on the ground, they fall to the ground, they stumble on these ants, and the ants now start to talk to them. That's Mother Nature. And the ants are actually explaining to them what they're doing. I mean, it's a conversation. So you're asking, what are you doing? They're explaining and they're doing it. And the ants are showing them how they're organizing garbage. Like this is a sewer, but the sewer is not a bad thing. You can think it's bad, it's because it's not clean. But they're showing how they're organizing the sewer in such a way that it's working for them. And they're going step by step, showing the young people step by step how they are collecting the good stuff, putting it aside, taking the bad stuff, organizing it on one side, and then there's different stuff that is useful. So they put this different useful stuff again separate. So they show them how to separate garbage. So they learn that. They also show them how to compact garbage, like pack it. How do you pack it so that it's now not all over the place? Then they show them how to organize it by labeling it so that it's labeled. And they're using colors, but they show them this color is this type of garbage, this color is the good garbage, this color is the bad garbage. And then they show them how to dispose of the bad garbage, then how to reuse and recycle the good garbage. So the ants show them all these things. That's what they found out from the ants. And they found out just on the playground on the garbage. It's just that one of the children was talking to the ants. Then, when they discovered and realized, they discussed it amongst themselves, how they can do it in the house. And they figured it out. They said, yeah, if we do these things, then the garbage will not be a problem. So they went back with that revelation to share with their family, but they were rejected, of course. And their father, in particular, said, you're wasting time. You go and become a chokorai. You have to go and look for money. So, you see, so that's where they were shocked. And that's how episode one kind of ends. It ends with the revelation, and it's a good thing, it's a climax. But then the anticlimax at the end is that they're rejected and they have to go back. That's the story. And now I'm going to give you that story. Episode one is going to have some characters. It'll have the three children, Shiro, who's 24, or yeah. Then it'll have Joro, who's 21. It'll have Kolo, who's 18. Then it's going to have the father, Kinywa. Kinywa would be something like 44 years old. Kinywa, that's the father. It's going to have the ant characters. Ants would be, I can't say now, but they could be about three major ant characters explaining all these things. So they'll have the ant characters, and then it's going to have the Kanjo. We have to introduce Kanjo. So you see, in episode one, Kanjo gets to, they come around. Kanjo makes money because of kickbacks. They come back, they come around for their money. So when they see that you're staying here, you have to pay your, let's call it a tax, but it's the Kanjo guys getting their kitukidogo. You don't have the money to give us kitukidogo. They come around. When they discover that the young children have figured out a way of sorting out the income, sorting out the garbage, they don't like it. So the Kanjo very quickly announced themselves as the bad guys, that we don't like that. And if you keep talking this nonsense language, we're going to get you sent away from here. We'll send you far away from here. It's like you'll be banished. It's almost you go to boarding school or something because you're speaking a wrong language. This place you cannot change. That's Kanjo's message. Things must remain as they are. So the argument happens between the children and the Kanjo, but we know as an audience is Kanjo are bad, the children are trying to do good things. So that's how it ends. Of course, Kanjo are ever present in every episode. So every episode, they are constantly there, building up, waiting to now abduct these children and even arrest them and even chopper them. There's a lot of things Kanjo can do. So they're just preparing for all that. But in episode one, it just ends with this announcement that there's these guys, they're bad and they're ready. Okay, so that's how it is. In terms of characters, you just need to have the kanjo, the ants, and the family. Okay, I hope it's kind of clear. If it's not clear, feel free to ask also. You can ask anything.
It is for now, but I'll still go through the documents when you listen. It's fine.
Okay, so I'll send you something. I'll send it by evening. So tomorrow you'll get the different stories. You'll get the character list. I want to talk now about the character list. How will you produce your characters? You know, in previous work, we worked with Fuse and we produced characters using that. For this one, I want us to work with a different software called DAZ Studio or Poser. It's called Poser. So I'll send you a workbook on that to download it. I'll send it tomorrow. And then I'll give you a tutorial on how to build your character from it. Okay? So the reason why I want us to use Poser is because Poser has a wider library of characters to choose from than Fuse. So you're going to get children who are this age that you can use. And there'll be 3D models, and you can use them the way we were working with Fuse. That's why I want us to use it. You're okay with that? You can also look for Poser, by the way, and just download it. It's free. You can also look for it and download. Okay, so that's the end. Um, Nothing else. Just now that tomorrow we go with the character modeling or character design using Poser. You build all those characters. You'll also get ants in Poser, so you can use that. And then I'll give you the tutorials in different workbooks on how to animate them. Okay, I'll stop the recording.